Millionaire'S shocking discovery. Cleaning lady saves daughter from dark secrets at midnight. The clock struck 12 in the lavish mansion of billionaire Derek Rinaldi, slicing through the tense atmosphere. Shadows danced along the walls as a storm brewed outside, lightning striking with a vengeance. But it wasn't the thunder that rattled the air. It was a spine-chilling scream that echoed from the upper floors. In his winding corridors under art that cost more than most houses, a cleaning lady named Maria, small, unassuming, with tired eyes, dared to tread into a world she scarcely understood. A job like hers didn't come with secrets. Yet tonight felt different. The moment she entered, she could almost feel the weight of unspoken truths pressing down on her chest. The last time she'd been there, it had just been dust and dirt, but tonight it pulsed with an energy that sent shivers down her spine. She held the broom tightly, trembling as she stepped toward the grand staircase, drawn upstairs by a strange sound, a soft whimper, delicate like the finest porcelain. Was it the wind? A trick of her imagination? Maria's gut twisted tighter, the hairs on her arms standing at attention. She whispered a prayer, even though she wasn't sure who she was praying to. The latest chilling news that had rippled through the town about Derek's daughter, Gabriella, only compounded her unease. Rumors swirled, whispered behind closed doors. Locked away in her room, crying alone, or worse, hiding from something sinister, something that lurked just out of sight. What kind of monster haunted that beautiful girl? As Maria climbed the stairs, each creak beneath her feet felt like a warning. She paused, listening intently. Another whimper. It came again, louder this time, a plea soaked in terror. Filled with dread yet driven by an undeniable urge to help, she pressed forward. The door to Gabriella's room stood ajar, the shadows flickering ominously around the frame. Before she could knock, it swung open abruptly. Gabriella, wide-eyed and disheveled, stood staring at Maria like a ghost that had just materialized. "You shouldn't be here," she hissed, panic lacing her voice. "You don't know what's coming." The air around them seemed to shift, thickening with the weight of unsaid words as Maria's heart raced. Truth buried deep beneath affluence and pretenses clawed at her senses. It was as if the walls themselves knew something that demanded to be uncovered. But what was it? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The air crackled with tension as stairs locked. Maria stepped closer, determination in her heart. "Gabriella, please tell me what's going on. You're not alone." A flicker of hope battled with fear in the young girl's eyes, but moments later, the house let out a low, ominous growl like an animal awakening from slumber. What had Maria stumbled upon? Before her could process the unease, the lights flickered, plunging them into shadows. The sound of a door slamming echoed through the halls, and screams began to rise around them, muffled by the very walls meant to protect them. Suddenly, everything felt more dangerous than anyone could imagine. What secrets lay buried beneath the surface? Would Maria uncover the truth before it was far too late? Maria's heart raced as shadows swallowed the room. The flickering lights barely illuminated Gabriella's terrified face, the girl's breath quickening as if she were about to flee. A chill swept through Maria, prickling her skin. What was happening behind those usually pristine walls of the mansion? "Gabriella, you can trust me," Maria whispered, her voice barely above a tremble. "Tell me what's wrong. We need to get out of here." But Gabriella shook her head violently, clutching the edge of her bed as if it were a lifeline. "You don't understand, it's not safe." Another crash echoed through the house, this time the sound like a heavy object being tossed against a wall. The old wooden floor vibrated beneath their feet as terror spread through Maria, gripping her stomach in a vice. "What is it? What's coming?" Gabriella's gaze shifted to the shadowed corner of the room, her eyes wide with panic. "It's not just me. He's here. He's always watching." At that moment, the air thickened, suffocating and electric. A whisper of cold air brushed past Maria, sending a shudder down her spine. She instinctively stepped closer to Gabriella, their shared fear weaving a bond of urgency between them. The oppressive weight of dread settled around them like an unwavering shroud. Just then, the storm outside unleashed a violent flash of lightning, making everything around them momentarily bright as day. In that split second, they both saw it, a dark figure lurking just beyond the door, twisted and intangible. Maria's chest tightened with horror. She felt the air leave her lungs. "Run! We need to hide," she urged, grabbing Gabriella's wrist as she turned toward the closet. But Gabriella hesitated, tears spilling down her cheeks. "No, he'll find us," she cried, her voice breaking. "You don't know what he has done." Frustration clashed with fear inside Maria. "I don't care. We can't stay here. Whatever it is, we have to face it together." Suddenly, the figure stepped into the light, tall and menacing, with an unmistakable glint of malice flickering in his eyes. "You think you can escape?" His voice slithered into their bones, as sickening as the shadows draping him. Maria's grip on Gabriella tightened. It was like standing before a monster, and terror wrapped around them both like a noose. The illusion of safety, of wealth, crumbled before them. "Look at me," Maria shouted over the rising panic. "We'll get through this. Just trust me." In that moment, Gabriella locked eyes with Maria, and for the first time, a flicker of resolve shone through her despair. Maybe it wasn't too late. As the creature took a step closer, its intentions clear, Maria tore the door open wider. "We'll go out this way," she gasped, her mind racing through escape plans. But before they could step into the hall, a deafening crash erupted from downstairs. Glass shattered. The storm outside howled like a desperate beast, drowning out their breaths. Maria's gut twisted. Something was coming, something darker than any storm, a threat that could drag them down into the abyss. She swung around to face Gabriella. "We have to go right now." As they stepped out of the room into the growing chaos, the air thickened once more with uncertainty. Could they outrun the evil that loomed? Heart pounding, Maria led the way down the dark corridor, her instincts screaming that the worst was yet to come. But just as they reached the staircase, a sinister voice echoed from behind them, cutting through the noise like a knife. "Did you really think you could escape?" What had they awakened in that mansion? As Gabriella stumbled, the very walls seemed to close in, and the night felt darker than ever. Would they find the strength to uncover the chilling truths hidden within? The dance of shadows had only just begun. Maria's heart pounded fiercely, and with every pulse, the foreboding air wrapped tighter around them. She turned and plunged down the corridor, dragging Gabriella along, their footsteps a desperate rhythm against the creaking wooden floor. "Maria, wait," Gabriella gasped, her voice slicing through the rising chaos. "We can't go that way." But the dark corridor loomed ahead, practically alive with shadows. An icy breeze swirled and Maria pressed forward, her instincts screaming to outpace whatever terror lurked behind them. "We have to keep moving," she urged. Suddenly, another thunderous crash echoed from below, shaking the very foundation of the mansion. Maria stumbled but caught herself on the wall, adrenaline surging through her veins. "What was that?" she whispered, dread clawing at her insides. "It's him," Gabriella cried, her eyes wide. "He knows we're awake." Maria glanced back, the suffocating silence that followed the crash chilling her bones. "Who is he?" she demanded, willing herself not to falter. They had to reach safety to find answers, or they might never escape this nightmare. I can't explain right now," Gabriella stammered, squeezing Maria's wrist tightly. "But he wants to take me back. It's something with my family, something terrible." The wind howled outside, a mournful cry that made Maria's skin prickle. "Whatever it is, we'll figure it out together. Focus on me." She felt the urgency of their flight amplify as they approached the staircase, but just as they reached the first step, a figure materialized at the end of the hall, a large silhouette backlit by the flickering overhead lights. Maria's breath caught in her throat. It was him. "Did you really think you could escape me?" His voice was smooth, chilling, like the stroke of a predator preparing to strike. The grin stretching across his lips illuminated his face just enough to reveal the dark glint in his eyes. "Run!" Maria shouted, panic igniting her every move. They dashed down the stairs, the unforgiving wood creaking beneath them. The eerie laughter followed them, echoing through the grand foyer. "Where do we go?" Gabriella cried, eyes darting as they hit the ground floor. "Anywhere but here." Maria insisted, her pulse racing faster than ever. She spotted a door leading to the back of the mansion and bolted for it, praying it would lead them to freedom. As they reached the door, Maria yanked it open, a sharp draft cutting through like a knife. Outside, rain lashed against the stone steps, an unforgiving tempest that mirrored the turmoil within. "We can get out this way," she urged, pulling Gabriella close. Just then, a hand clamped down on Maria's shoulder. She whipped around, staring into the face of the man they had tried to escape. His eyes burned with fury and something darker, a twisted hunger. "You can't run forever," he hissed. Maria felt her resolve slip as a flood of ice coursed through her veins. "What do you want?" she demanded, though her voice trembled. His grin widened. "You'll find out soon enough. What's hidden in the shadows will be your undoing." With that, he thrust Maria aside, the air rushing out of her lungs. Gabriella screamed, and the sound slammed into Maria like a wall. She fought to regain her footing, but the reality of their plight struck her like lightning. "Gabriella!" she shouted, fear rising with a tightening noose around her throat. The darkness seemed to pulse, alive with their dread, as the shadows flickered and danced around her. Would this be the moment everything unraveled? As they stumbled back towards the threshold of the door, the storm above roared with renewed fury. With the swirls of black swirling menacingly, terror clawed at Maria's heart. They had not escaped yet. They were still trapped in a web of deceit and brutality. "Look!" Gabriella pointed down the dark corridor, her voice shaking. "There's a way out." But the figure moved faster than they could react, stepping toward them with confidence. Maria could feel the weight of grim certainty. A collision with their fates was imminent. Would they be swallowed whole by the depths of the mansion's horrors? The shadows churned ominously behind them. With a collective breath, they prepared to confront whatever awaited them. Would they discover the secrets wrapped in darkness, or would they succumb before dawn? Time seemed suspended, and with every heartbeat, the shadows tightened their grip. The storm raged, relentless sheets of rain drumming against the stone of the old mansion. Maria felt the panic clawing at her throat, closing in on her lungs. She could sense the figure him drawing closer. The glint in his eyes pierced through the dim light, reflecting a menacing hunger that made her stomach churn. "Run!" she shouted again, but the words felt too weak against the tide of terror. Gabriella yanked her arm, the urgency in her grip igniting a flicker of hope. "This way!" she cried, pulling Maria towards a side passage that branched off the corridor. With a quick decision, they veered left, the echo of their footsteps swallowed by the sound of the wind outside. The passage narrowed, and Maria could barely see what lay ahead. Shadows slithered along the walls, twisting and turning as the flickering light bulbs emitted brief flashes of clarity. "Do you trust me?" Gabriella asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "I trust you," Maria replied, though fear gnawed at her resolve. They had to survive, to uncover whatever darkness this mansion held. They rushed down the passage, breaths coming in heavy gasps. The atmosphere grew eerily thick, pressing down on them like a weight they couldn't shake off. Just ahead, a faint glow flickered through a door slightly ajar. "Look!" Gabriella pointed, her eyes wide with desperation. "There's light. Maybe it's a way out." But as they approached, a sudden crash echoed through the hall, sending vibrations coursing through Maria's feet. The door didn't look welcoming. It stood as a glimmer of false hope with its cracked frame and peeling paint. Yet they had no choice. Maria pushed the door open, the hinges groaning in protest. What lay beyond was a small library, shelves stocked with dusty books that lined the walls like sentinels of forgotten memories. An ornate chandelier hung in the center, its light barely illuminating the room. "Over here." Gabriella darted towards an old fireplace, its cold bricks seemingly untouched by time. "Why here?" Maria asked, glancing back nervously. She felt the darkness closing in, but the flicker of Gabriella's hope inspired her. "I read about hidden passages in the library," Gabriella explained. "If we can find one, we might escape." Maria's heart raced as they rummaged through books, the smell of aged paper mingling with the mustiness of the room. Time felt warped in this sanctuary of sorrow. The overwhelming fear of their pursuer was pushed aside, if only temporarily, as they focused on the hunt for salvation. With every volume Gabriella pulled, Maria felt her heart sink a little more. The shadows outside danced like they were alive, taunting them, narrowing the margin for escape. Just as despair threatened to seep in, Gabriella gasped. Here. This book, it's different. She yanked a weathered tome from the shelf. Behind it, a section of the wall shifted slightly, a hidden door revealed. Maria's breath caught in her throat. Is it safe? Gabriella nodded, wide-eyed. It has to be. Before they could hesitate, Maria shoved against the door, and it swung open with a creak. A dark passage lay beyond, its depths uncertain and foreboding. With a renewed fervor, they stepped inside, plunging into the unknown, darkness enveloping them like a heavy cloak. The sound of rain faded behind them, replaced by the echo of their own footsteps. Keep going, Maria urged, determination flaring as fear threatened to drown her. But just as they rounded a corner, a tremor shook through the walls. The figure was hunting them, relentless. Suddenly, they heard the sound of heavy footsteps drawing closer behind them. Faster! Maria shouted, adrenaline pumping through her veins. The shadows loomed larger, stretching towards them, whispering their doom. Then, a chilling laugh ricocheted from the passage behind. You cannot escape what's destined. Desperation clawed at Maria's mind as she turned to Gabriella. We have to split up now, Gabriella screamed, clinging to her. We go together. Always. For a heartbeat they hesitated, but time was slipping through their fingers like sand. Maria's heart raced as she weighed their options. But as the darkness swelled, creeping in with malicious intent, she knew they had to act. Then hold on tight. They surged deeper into the dark, the chilling laughter echoing behind them, fueling their fear and their resolve. What awaited them in the shadows? Could they find the truth before being consumed by the darkness? Time was running out as they dashed deeper into the unknown. The passage grew narrower, the air thick with a damp chill as they stumbled deeper into the darkness. Maria could barely keep pace with Gabriella, who led the way, her silhouette a beacon of hope amidst the shadows. Each twist and turn felt like a perilous gamble, the unseen danger behind them gnawing at their backs. Then, a loud bang echoed behind, sending tremors through the walls. Maria turned, her heart hammering in her chest. There was no way back. The imposing figure, once a ghost in the shadows, felt closer with each breath they took. The walls seemed to pulse with the weight of their fear, a living entity intent on consuming them. Keep going, Gabriella urged, but her voice trembled a crack in the bravado just ahead. The passage opened into a wider cavern. Flickering lights illuminated an old mural depicting a scene of turmoil and despair. Maria's eyes skimmed over it, absorbing the tale of chaos frozen in time. It was a warning or a burden. Look at this, Gabriella whispered, pointing to a faded inscription carved beneath the painting. It says, only the truth can save you from the shadows. What could it mean? Maria's chest tightened. Maybe it's south about this place or him. But what truth? The weight of the moment pressed down hard. As if sensing their hesitance, a low growl echoed from the shadows. Voices whispered and intertwined, echoing her thoughts. Their pursuer was drawing near, the fabric of their reality fraying. They had no time to ponder riddles. Let us push forward, Maria urged, gripping Gabriella's hand tightly. We can't stop now. We have to find something, anything that can help us. With renewed urgency they pressed on. The passage turned into a staircase spiraling downwards, leading them deeper into the earth. Each step felt heavier, the air thickening as though the walls were closing around them. To the bottom, they found themselves in a dimly lit cellar. Dust floated lazily in the shaft of light from a grungy window, the silence loud and oppressive. Shelves lined with old jars filled with murky substances lined the walls. A sense of foreboding hung like stale air. Is this a dead end? Gabriella whispered fearfully, scanning the room. Maria felt the shadows begin to creep back, inching closer, suffocating her resolve. No, there has to be something here, Maria mumbled, scanning the room. They went to the nearest shelf and examined the jars. Each label was tarnished, barely readable. But then one of the jars caught Maria's eye. A flicker of gold glimmered within. Wait, what's this? She reached for the jar, pulling it from the shelf. Dust clouds erupted in the air, choking her as she inspected it closely. Inside, glistening pieces of something that looked strikingly like gold slivers danced in the twilight glow. That looks valuable, Gabriella said, her voice tinged with awe. More than that, Gabriella, Maria said softly, A knot forming in her stomach as realization dawned. What if this is tied to the mansion's secrets? What if this was the root of all the darkness? But before Gabriella could respond, the ground trembled beneath them, and the sound of heavy footsteps approached with growing intensity. The shadows thickened once more, stretching like hands reaching for them, determined to reclaim what they had found. Maria, we need to get out of here. Gabriella's voice sliced through the panic, igniting something deep within Maria. Right, Maria cried out, clutching the jar fiercely. Let us go. But as they turned to leave, the laughter of their pursuer echoed through the chamber, that chilling, familiar sound now woven with fury. Did you truly believe you could uncover the truth? Your demise is imminent. Their heartbeats raced, terror gripping them as they hurried back toward the staircase, the shadows clawing at their heels. But something unexpected awaited them at the top. What would they confront as they ascended? Was discovery worth the terrifying price of facing what loomed behind them? The staircase felt more alive with each frantic step they took. Shadows writhed, closing in on them like a dark shroud eager to reclaim its lost treasures. Maria could feel the weight of fear pressing down hard against her chest. She glanced over her shoulder, desperate for a flicker of light, but found only enveloping darkness. Each heavy footfall echoed like a countdown in her mind. Stay close, Gabriella gasped, her face pale under the dust and dim light. Her grasp tightened around Maria's wrist, their connection a lifeline amidst the chaos. As they emerged onto the landing, a sudden crash echoed behind them. A jar had shattered. Glass particles scattered to the ground like fractured promises. Maria's heart raced. It was a stark reminder of their precarious situation. Turning on her heel, she saw vague shapes silhouetted in the murk. Figures shifting, ready to pounce. Go! Go! Maria shouted. They propelled down the corridor, dimly aware of the horrors that lurked just behind them. The laughter from earlier transformed into a sinister melody, a taunting reminder of their pursuer's cruel delight. Rounding a corner, they stumbled upon a door slightly ajar, a beckoning shadow in the flickering torchlight. In here, Gabriella urged, pushing it open. They burst into the room just as the wall shuttered behind them. Inside, the room was cluttered with forgotten antiques and yellowing papers. Dust motes danced in the air, lit by the faint glow of a single lantern hanging from the ceiling. The air was stale, heavy with whispers of the past, but there was no time to ponder. Look, Gabriella cried out, her eyes landing on an ornate chest tucked in the corner. What if it holds something valuable? Maria rushed over, forcing the lid open. It creaked ominously, revealing a collection of disturbing items. Coins, letters, and dark trinkets that seemed to pulse with a life of their own. Maria felt an unsettling chill as she glimpsed the words scribbled on a letter. To claim your fortune, you must first embrace the darkness. What does that mean? Gabriella asked, a shiver running down her spine. Maybe it's a warning, Maria mused, her fingers brushing against a tarnished locket nestled within the chest. She hesitated before lifting it, feeling an inexplicable pull. The cold metal sent ice through her veins. A sudden crash sounded from the doorway. The figures were here. Maria! Gabriella screamed, yanking her despite the locket's allure. We can't stay. We have to find a way out. Just then the shadows stormed in, a tempest of darkness spilling over the threshold. Maria's breath hitched as she spotted the unmistakable silhouette, eyes gleaming, lips twisted into a fervent grin. Clutching the locket, she could feel a strange energy pulsing through the air, drawing them closer to the edge of danger. Did you really think you could escape? The figure purred, each word dripping with malevolence. As he stepped forward, the shadows coiled around him as if he were their master. Run now, Maria urged, shoving the locket into Gabriella's hand, not knowing what would happen but trusting in a spark of desperation. Together they dashed past the encroaching darkness toward the opposite door. Heart-pounding, Maria glanced back, catching a fleeting glimpse of despair on Gabriella's face before a horde of shadows swept forward, receding in waves of darkness. Maria! Gabriella's voice cracked, fusing urgency to fear. Keep your eyes straight. Don't look back, Maria shouted, pushing them to their limit. But as they burst through the door at the end of the room, everything changed. A cold gust sent chills racing down their spines. They stepped out onto a crumbling balcony, overlooking a void that stretched endlessly into shadow, the mansion's secrets swirling beneath as they teetered at the edge, A chilling realization swept over them. What if it's not just him? Gabriella whispered, horror etching her features. What if all of this is just the beginning? With adrenaline surging, they turned to find the darkness swirling behind them, pulling at their heels, eager to reclaim its lost minions and secrets. Maria. Gabriella tightened her grip. What do we do now? Maria exhaled, fear coursing through her veins. I don't know, but we can't let the shadows win, not now. And then from the depths of the void, a flicker of light broke through, illuminating a path they hadn't anticipated. The possibilities of salvation danced alluringly, but was it a trap? Or a true chance for freedom? Do we go for it? Gabriella's voice trembled, uncertainty mixing with hope. I guess we have no choice. But as they stepped toward the light, the laughter resonated again, this time more malevolent, echoing in their ears as the truth about the mansion and themselves was only just beginning to unfurl. They moved toward the light, every instinct screaming to turn back. The warmth promised escape, but it flickered like a candle about to be snuffed out. Maria's stomach churned as the shadows, fierce and relentless, lunged forward, their sinister whispers clawing at her thoughts. Hold on! Maria shouted as she and Gabriella leaped into the light. In an instant the world shifted. The air grew electric, shimmering around them. A bright halo enveloped them, pushing against the icy grip of the darkness. It was a new room, at first unfocused like an image coming into clarity. The walls glistened with radiant colors, each hue pulsing gently, breathing life into what felt like an eternal nightmare. Yet the vibrant colors belied the deep-rooted dread growing within her. What is this place? Gabriella asked, awe creeping into her shaking voice. She looked around, her eyes wide, catching the light spilling from translucent orbs suspended in midair, each casting a glow that danced across their faces. I don't know, but we can't relax yet, Maria replied sharply, scanning for any sign of danger. Just beyond the glimmering veil, the shadows had surged into the light, writhing like serpents against an unseen barrier. Yet they didn't seem to be able to reach them yet. The moment hung heavy as they stood in that shimmering room, both entranced and terrified. What does it want from us? Gabriella whispered, trembling. I think it's playing with us. Maria's voice was low, edged with uncertainty. Whatever that was back there, it's still hunting us, still wants. Before she could finish, a low rumble echoed from the ceiling, shaking the orbs slightly. A painful thud reverberated, drowning out their words. The colors steepened into shadows once more, swirling faster, blending into a torrent of emotions: fear, confusion, rage. From the swirling mass, a figure emerged, this one cloaked in the very essence of the light around them, but its face distinct, hauntingly familiar. Maria's breath caught in her throat. Mom? Gabriella gasped, taking a step forward. The ethereal figure reached out, fingers extending longingly. Gabriella, my sweet. The figure's voice floated like a melody, but it was tinged with sorrow. Maria felt a sharp jolt. How could this be? Is it really you? Gabriella's voice trembled as tears brimmed in her eyes. No, Maria shouted, pulling Gabriella back. It's a trick. We can't trust it. The figure's smile faded, twisting into something shadowy, its certainty replaced with desperation. You must listen. There isn't much time. Trust the light. Our only trust lies in ourselves. Maria yelled, fighting the urge to surrender to that radiant presence. Gabriella looked torn, caught between hope and dread. Suddenly, the room shifted again, the light beginning to dim unsettlingly. You must embrace the truth, Gabriella. Embrace the light, echoed the haunting likeness of her mother. Just then, sharp laughter echoed again, chilling and bone-deep from the darkness engulfing the room. Have you forgotten? The shadows hissed, creeping toward them. The truth is never as it seems. Their salvation is your ruin. Run! Maria screamed, grabbing Gabriella's wrist fiercely, knowing all too well their time was running out. Together they sprinted toward the flickering light, but it felt as if the ground beneath them was eroding. Each step they took threatened by the malevolent shadows closing in. As they neared the light, the laughter turned into shrieks, reflecting their fear and shame. The orbs began to pop, one after another, scattering fragments of light. Each burst echoed like a warning, a reminder that safety come with terrifying costs. Maria! Gabriella cried. We can't go back to the darkness. I know. Maria gasped, her heart racing. But we have to choose. Do we trust this light? Or risk facing what lies behind us? The shadows twisted closer, readying for the final strike. As the air crackled with tension and the last orb dimmed, the two friends faced the overwhelming uncertainty. Would they succumb to the lure of the light or fall prey to the darkness? As the silence hung heavy between them, a distinct choice loomed on the horizon, uncertain and dangerous, one path leading to salvation, and the other potentially to their doom. And as the final orb shattered, sending a blinding glow toward the girls, time seemed to freeze, and within that moment, the truth of the mansion awaited them. What would they choose, and would they even survive to see the consequences? The light enveloped them, a violent explosion of color and sound, forcing the shadows to retreat, if only momentarily. Maria and Gabriella stood, breathless, momentarily losing their sense of time and place. The chaos around them blurred, shapes and colors merging into an indecipherable swirl. What now? Gabriella whispered, eyes darting back to where the shadows lingered, dark, waiting. I don't know, Maria confessed, her voice barely louder than a whisper. But we can't stay here. She tightened her grip on Gabriella's hand, heart racing, the urgency of the moment pressing heavily upon her. The vibrating light began to pulse erratically, as though the room itself was alive, sensing their fear. We need to find a way out, Maria urged. They stepped cautiously away from the center of the chaos. In their exploration they stumbled upon a door, seeming to glow faintly amid the wild colors. There. Maria pointed, hope sparking in her chest. Maybe it leads to safety. Without waiting for Gabriella's response, she darted toward the door, pulling it open with a desperate tug. The air shifted, turning cooler as they stepped through the threshold. The hallway beyond was long, endless, with walls darkened and ominous. It felt wrong, like an intrusion into something sacred. Flickering sconces lined the walls, casting jittering shadows that danced with malicious glee. Maria, what if this is another trap? Gabriella's voice trembled. Then we'll fight. Together, Maria said, her resolve tightening. She could hear the whispers approaching from behind them, edging closer, urging her to relive the terror of what lurked in the depths. With every step, dread seeped into their bones. Suddenly, the lights flickered overhead before extinguishing completely, leaving them in darkness, breathing heavily, the stillness hanging thick. Maria! Gabriella gasped, panic creeping back in. I can't see. Stay close to me, she commanded, her heart pounding as fear clawed up her throat. The shadows pressed in around them, and she felt their weight like a physical burden. Then a sound, a low growl echoing from behind. It was dreadful, unnatural, a manifestation of the very darkness they tried to escape. Run! Maria shouted, instinctively pulling Gabriella along. They bolted forward into the black void, blindly searching for something, anything to hold on to. Rushing through the hallway, they stumbled upon a staircase spiraling upward. Without hesitation, they dove onto the steps, forcing themselves to move faster. Each footfall felt measured against the relentless pursuit of the shadows, their cold fingers brushing against their skin, nipping at their heels. To the top of the stairs, they emerged into another room, this one vast and cavernous. A chandelier hung precariously overhead, its crystals shimmering like trapped stars, though the light emanating from it felt dim and uncertain. Is this a way out? Gabriella asked, desperation thick in her voice. I don't know, Maria replied, scanning the room, but there must be a clue. Just then, a deep rumble reverberated through the walls. The chandelier swayed ominously, as if the very structure of the room was deliberately warning them. Maria felt her stomach drop as she realized there was no more time. That can't be good, Gabriella murmured, the shadows from below beginning to rise again. What do we do now? Panic surged in Maria's veins. Wrestling with her determination, she spotted a series of old portraits lining the walls, their eyes seeming to follow them, judging their every move. We have to find out what they know, Maria said, urgency creeping back into her voice. They could hold the key to what we're facing. Gabriella nodded, moving toward the nearest painting. Yet the shadows grew, pooling in the corners, expanding like an ink spill. Look! Maria shouted, pointing at a portrait that glimmered with an odd light, the face of a woman eerily similar to the figure they had encountered before. What if she holds the secrets to this place? The cacophony of shadows surged closer, the room vibrating with their dark energy. The choice weighed heavily on them. Delve into the mysteries of the paintings or risk surrendering to the darkness that loomed like a storm ready to unleash its fury as they hesitated. The shadows clawed higher, twisting and roaring, their whispers growing more intense. The glimmer from the portrait flickered momentarily, beckoning them closer. What if it's a trap? Gabriella's voice wavered, her breath escaping in shallow gasps. Or our only chance, Maria replied, steeling herself for whatever lay ahead. With a sudden burst of courage they rushed towards it, ready to face whatever this haunting mansion still had in store for them, knowing that the truth was a sword that cut both ways. And as they reached forward, a blinding flash erupted, revealing a hidden passage hidden behind the portrait, the unknown beckoning them forth, promising answers and dangers alike. Would they dare step through? As Maria and Gabriella stepped into the hidden passage, the world around them transformed in an instant. The dim light faded, replaced by a soft yet eerily pulsing glow emanating from the walls. The air felt thick and humid, almost alive, wrapping around them like a suffocating shroud. Where are we? Gabriella's voice was barely more than a whisper, the uncertainty weaving through her words. I don't know, but we have to keep moving, Maria urged, feeling the weight of the shadows pressing hard against their backs, the growls still echoing in their minds. The passage twisted and turned, leading them away from the chaos behind, yet it felt as if they were running straight into the belly of the beast. A chill ran down Maria's spine as she glanced back, half expecting to see the twisting darkness emerge from behind them at any moment. Suddenly, they reached a large circular room. The walls were lined with more portraits, but these felt different, more alive. The subjects appeared almost as if they were aware of their surroundings, eyes glistening with unshed secrets. Look at this one, Maria said, her fingers brushing against a painting of an older man. His eyes were piercing, a blend of sadness and anger. The title on the plaque below read The Keeper of Secrets. What do you think he knows? As Gabriella leaned closer, a voice crackled through the silence, echoing off the stone walls. Beware, foolish girls. The truth can unshackle the darkest of chains, but at what cost? The walls trembled slightly, the portraits shifting as if caught in a breeze. Maria felt the ground beneath her shift in response to the turmoil of the voice. Did you hear that? Gabriella gasped, instincts flaring. We should go back. No, this is our only chance to break free from the shadows, Maria insisted, searching for answers etched within those eyes. This was no longer just about surviving. It was about understanding the darkness that hunted them. With newfound resolve, Maria stepped closer, her gaze locked onto the Keeper of Secrets. The shadow behind him began to writhe, dark tendrils reaching out as if to bind them. What are you hiding? She demanded, taking a brave step forward, her heart pounding, the adrenaline surging through her veins. Gabriella clutched her arm, trying to pull her back, eyes wide with fear. Touch the truth and your world shall unravel, the voice hissed, its menace dripping with a sinister charm. With a deep breath, Maria reached out and touched the frame of the painting. A surge of energy coursed through her fingers, electric and unforgiving. Images flashed inside her mind, muffled screams, secrets buried deep within the mansion's history, and the face of a girl, lost and searching. Gabriella gasped, what is happening? Shoo! I can see them. They come alive. The words tumbled from Maria's lips, and she felt the past intertwining with her present. The room darkened as the shadows recoiled, their whispers intensifying. Let go! Gabriella shouted, pulling at Maria's arm as the shadows began to surge forward, hungry and desperate. Not yet. Maria fought against the pull, her vision spinning with the revelation she was unraveling. She saw it now. The Keeper of Secrets wasn't he guarding the truth. He was begging for it to be known. In that moment the room erupted with light, a blinding brilliance that swallowed the shadows whole. Gabriella screamed, her voice merging with a cacophony of voices from the portraits, and Maria felt herself being ripped away from reality. Then, everything went dark. Silence enveloped them, leaving an empty void until a crashing noise echoed through the stillness, pulling them back to consciousness. Disoriented, Maria blinked against the dark, her heart reeling with panic. Maria? Where are you? Gabriella's shaky voice broke through the darkness, laced with fear. I'm here, Maria called back, shuffling through the thick haze that surrounded her, anxiety coursing through her as she struggled to orient herself. Had they escaped, or had they simply fallen deeper into the web of shadows? Just then the walls erupted with color, painting swirling patterns in the darkness, a warning, an invitation, or perhaps something much more sinister. Run, Maria urged, gripping Gabriella's hand. But something else took hold. A pulse reverberated within the walls, each heartbeat resonating loud enough to rattle their bones. A glow flickered far ahead, as if beckoning them deeper. Do we trust it? Gabriella's voice trembled, uncertainty lingering like a ghost. We have to, Maria whispered, pulling Gabriella forward, the unknown drawing them deeper into a mystery that was becoming all too familiar. As they stepped into the light, a shocking revelation awaited them, promising to shake their very foundations. What darkness had they truly unleashed by touching the truth? And as the glow enveloped them, a chill raced down Maria's spine, leaving them both gasping as they stepped into an uncanny world where nothing was as it seemed. What awaited them beyond the light? They could only take the plunge and hope to survive. The glow intensified, swirling around Maria and Gabriella like a warm embrace, but it held secrets just beneath its surface. Heart racing, Maria stepped forward, her body trembling with adrenaline. The pulse of the walls quickened, resonating with their urgency. Together they plunged into the heart of the light. They emerged in what looked like a grand hall, but it felt wrong. The air was thick and heavy, clinging to their lungs. Ornate chandeliers hung above, but their crystals had dulled, reflecting shadows instead of light. Spectral images flitted by in the periphery, reminders of lives once lived, trapped within the expanses of the mansion's past. Maria's skin prickled as she sensed the weight of unseen eyes. Where are we? Gabriella whispered, fear lacing her tone. I don't know, Maria said, swallowing hard. But I have a feeling we're close to the truth. As they ventured forward, flickering torches cast eerie shadows on the walls, distorting their faces until they were almost unrecognizable. Whispers danced around them, overlapping incoherently. The truth lies within, echoed one voice, a foreboding undertone chilling Maria to the bone. And the center of the hall, a large circular table sprawled open, bearing an ancient book adorned with dust and splendor. It called out to them, a beacon amidst the haunting haze. Maria felt a tug within her, an urgency she couldn't shake. Do you think we should? Gabriella started, but the words faded as Maria stepped closer to the table. Wait here, she instructed, a flicker of determination igniting her chest. This felt like their last gamble, a final attempt to turn back the tide of shadows, the labyrinth of lies. 3 steps away. 2. 1. As she opened the book, an intense light burst forth, consuming the room in a radiance that drove back the whispers. The pages revealed a tapestry of terrifying truths, the legacy of darkness that haunted the Rinaldi family, the darkness that imprisoned Gabriella's mother, and the sacrifice made in silence to protect her daughter. Every word carved itself into Maria's mind with burning clarity. She gasped as understanding crashed over her, drowning out the darkness that still lingered. Gabriella, she uttered, turning back to her friend, whose eyes were wide as saucers. This is it. The shadows, your family's secrets, they're connected to a pact made long ago. It has entangled your mother and her choices. Then we need to break it, Gabriella said, urgency rising. We can't let it take anyone else. Before they could linger on their revelations, the room shook violently. The walls seemed to shift. The laughter from the darkness clawed at their ears again, furious at the disruption. Foolish girls. The figure's voice roared, echoing ominously. Shadows curled around them, a visceral threat demanding to reclaim their prizes. We need that locket, Gabriella shouted. The one you took from the chest. Maria's heart raced as she fumbled in her pocket, retrieving the cold metal, its echoes of promises and warnings now bursting aflame like the past rising anew. What do we do with it? The inscription, it mentioned embracing the truth. We have to use it to confront him, to face the shadows together, Gabriella said, steely determination replacing her earlier fear. On 3, Maria said, their eyes locking, a shared resolve igniting the air between them. 1, 2, 3. They shouted together, raising the locket high, feeling the surge of light rush over them, forming a barrier against the creeping shadows. A blinding flash exploded as shadows collided with the light, weaving together in a chaotic dance of destruction. A wave of energy slammed through the hall, shattering the oppressive gloom that had claimed the mansion for so long. Then silence fell as the light began to recede. The sinister figure appeared, now stripped of its monstrous features, revealing the haunted face of Gabriella's mother, enshrined in sorrow and regret. "I tried to protect you," she said, her voice softer now, laced with pain. "But at what cost?" Gabriella stepped closer, her heart in her throat. "Mom, didn't he have to carry this burden alone?" Tears streamed down her cheeks. "We can face it together." The image of her mother hesitated, darkness still flickering around her figure. "It's too late for me," she lamented, "but together you hold the power to break the cycle." Maria tightened her grip on Gabriella's hand, a surge of defiance flooding through her veins. "We're not afraid. We've come this far. We'll reveal the truth, no matter the cost." With a fierce determination, Gabriella joined Maria. "We will embrace the light." The room erupted with blinding energy, drowning out the shadows, reclaiming their space. Gabriella's mother began to dissolve, her essence merging into the luminous surrounds, releasing the long-held burdens of the past. "Embrace your power live in the light," she whispered, and then she faded, leaving behind clarity. The hall began to collapse in on itself, an echo of freedom ringing out. The final remnants of darkness were sucked into the void, leaving nothing but a glimmering space. Maria and Gabriella stumbled from the hall, reclaiming their breath, feeling the weight of the world lift from their shoulders. They stepped outside, soaking in the storm-washed air, raw and fresh, the terrifying weight of the mansion replaced by a lightness of spirit that flowed through them like a newfound promise. "Together," Maria said, tears of relief streaming down her cheeks as the sun peeked through the clouds, casting a golden hue over everything. Gabriella nodded, drawing in the beauty that existed beyond the turmoil. "We'll face whatever comes next together." For the first time they could breathe easy beneath the vast sky. That was their truth, a soft echo of hope lingering in the air, the shadows now just a memory. Now as they walked away, hand in hand, the mansion, its darkness and secrets finally behind them, the world ahead shone brighter than they had ever dared to dream. And now, fair friends, it's your turn. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss out on the next exclusive story that'll keep you on the edge of your seat. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Flood the comments below with your reactions and theories. Let's keep this conversation alive. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Let us bring more fans into the fold.